and thank you for downloading the latest UKOCR podcast. I am Will Chung, and this is not Who's Hot, but this is a World's Toughest Mudder preview. Of course, in the side saddle, I've got Alan Muddy Duck. Alan, how you doing?
I'm good, Will. Thank you very much. I like that in the side saddle. That's a whole new one.
Wow,
WTM, we're back. We're back. WTM excitement is building, Will. I can't wait for it again.
Yeah, I can actually see how excited you are. Are you ready?
I'm as ready as I'm going to be. I've not run for a few weeks, but I did this at ETM a few years ago when I went and smashed it. Same thing, Will. It's just another day in the office, seeing how many hills we can run up and down, and then getting back to the start and going again.
We go again. There's only a few hills though in Beaver Castle. There's only a couple. You'd be fine.
Depends if Giles is around. It makes them when they're not really there.
And to help us preview World's Toughest Mudder, we have TMHQ with us. We have Karen Tricky and Kerry Nash. Hi guys, how are you both?
Go on, Karen.
Yeah, hi. Sorry, we're just staring at each other because now we don't want to talk. Oh yeah, I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, very good. Kerry, all good?
Yeah, I am all good, thank you. Ready and raring to go, getting up to Grantham.
When do you guys go and leave for Grantham?
So we've got Build team on site already, our construction team digging holes and other things, maybe digging holes. And then
I don't think that's a spoiler talking about digging holes. Let's be honest, right?
Maybe digging holes. Yeah, and then the bulk of the team start arriving from Sunday to start popping up infrastructure marquees, that sort of stuff. Yeah, and then bringing it all to life.
Yeah, and then I head up early Wednesday morning next week. Yeah, just to join the gang.
So once everything's basically been set up, Karen, is that you just kind of turn up?
I just turn up and squat around, yeah, make it look good. No, we I think sometimes it's more kind of like annoying having more voices on site. So it's good to like the team have got it, they know what they're doing, and then I can go up and help support with those last bits.
Well, thank you guys for joining us, and thank you to everyone that's asked these questions. We've got a crap load of questions for TMHQ. Special thank you to Michelle Carney for organising all of that for us and kind of list them all out. I have sent them already to Karen and Kerry and TMHQ just to have a quick look at. Some of the questions, as you hopefully will be able to see, have been replicated. So a lot of them we've just kind of bundled into one. So if your specific question hasn't been asked or answered, then hopefully something that's very close to what you were wondering will already be as part of the conversation. So we've already talked about how's it going, which kind of quite early on, so we won't move on to that one. How are you guys excited? You know, how's the excitement building ready for World's Toughest Mudder? Because we're only a couple of weeks out now.
Yeah.
A
couple of weeks doesn't even quite cover it. Yeah, I mean, there's always a buzz within HQ as we get close to these sorts of events, right? Any sort of big championship event, and obviously World's Tough is the biggest one in the Tough Mudder calendar. So yeah, there's lots of very active group chats, shall we say, on the old G chat. Lots of things pinging in, but yeah, no, we're all really ready. We want to get up site and get the event rocking and rolling. Yeah, excited for what we've got in store this year.
Yeah, I also think like this is, as much as it's like your playground when you come and do it, right? It tests you in different ways. This is definitely like our playground when it comes. I mean, Tough Mudder is creative anyway, but when it comes to the brand, we find ourselves hilarious sometimes with some of the things that we think of, and like hopefully that transpires on site. But it's actually one of the like. There's a lot of pressure because we want to get it right and it needs to be at the right level for the level of event that it is, but it is one of those events where we really can just have some fun with it, and come up with all of these like bonkers ideas and funny names
ideas you have throughout the year, and you're like, maybe we'll explore that at Worlds.
Yeah,
I think your idea of fun, as in morning glory, which we will come back to later on, is probably a very different idea of other people's fun. Alan, you had a question, kind of race director to race director, didn't you?
Oh, I had lots of questions, me, Ian.
Ian?
Ian, sorry.
Podcast.
Well, yeah, that's you normally gets it wrong, isn't it? It's you normally you gets it wrong, not me. Gosh, you've thrown me around the bus here, and you're not even told me which question I'm going to ask. But I'll go one that I do not have asked. What are you most looking forward to? You don't have to tell me exactly what obstacle, but the name of the obstacle that you're most looking forward to seeing people complete or fail on.
Mine actually isn't an obstacle. Is that okay? Like mine is the new rule changes. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm nervous to see how it goes as well. But it's the first time really that we've innovated the rules, not just the obstacles. So I'm kind of pumped, but also a little bit bricking it to see how they go, and how people push through, and just how tough that's going to make this event. Yeah,
I think I agree, Karen. Like it's quite regular to see changes to obstacles, right? But not really to the change of like how we get around the course and that sort of that element of the product, which is really cool, exciting. I think is going to be interesting to see how people react to it during those hours. And how much sort of strategy comes into play during those hours for people, with the extension of the finisher hours, those sorts of things as well. But we do also, there's a couple of obstacles I'm looking forward to rolling out, and seeing come to life. It's one of those things where you go through months of draft drawings and backwards and forwards with engineers on CAD designs and all sorts of stuff, and to actually see it fabricated in real life and people using it and hopefully really enjoying it, equally in equal parts of hating it because it's tough and these other things. There's one or two things there that I'm excited to look to see come to fruition, but I don't want to give too much away as to what that will involve.
I don't know. As a race director myself, I'm going to put a really small race, and I'm not going to mention it here because it's not about my race. I know there's a lot more goes into putting on a straight up obstacle course race in the field. There's a lot of obstacle placement and things like that, and each year I try and get something different out of my race. In my head I've got this philosophy that I want people to, some years it's a very much a mental game, so I'll keep fetching them back to the start line and then sending them off. And then another year I might want to say, well, I just want to just break you and I'll send you off as far as I possibly can and make you run through stupid fields that are like full of nettles and random things like that. What's the philosophy behind WTM this year? As in, and we might come back to this, the course is going to be run backwards. They know that. So there's a bit more philosophy in it this year than has been. And so what's the philosophy in that and the obstacle placement this year? Are you going to break people, or are you going to go distance?
Well, I mean, so obviously we've got to work within the confines of Worlds format, right? So we've got to stick to a 5 mile. A 5 mile does give us limitations as to where we can get to on the venue and get back and get to accessible areas where we can dig and things like that, right? Because we have to work sort of within the constraints a little bit of what we can do on the venue in certain areas. But that doesn't mean we haven't thought about how we can squeeze in those extra little areas that we might not always use, and we haven't switched up the positioning of said obstacles. And like you said, those keen-eyed amongst you that have been hunting down the puzzle pieces from the TM sphere will have noticed that we reversed the course this year. And actually, I do think it's going to make a relatively big difference, as it will dictate the way that those obstacles are introduced to the course, which is something that people aren't necessarily used to in this venue. So people that came last year for World's Toughest and maybe haven't run here before, they might be expecting a certain we all know that a lot of the big water sort of builds are in a certain area within this venue. May not always be the case, who knows? But it's one of those that we're always trying to push the venue as well, and what we can and can't do and where we can try new things. So the philosophy this year, to be honest, has been switch it up, reverse it, and make changes where we can whilst keeping people on their toes. So again, with that, working within the Tough Mudder, the World's confines, what you don't want to end up doing is preloading one area of the course with 19 obstacles and then running 4 miles with nothing, right? So trying to spread it out as much as you can whilst trying to get a couple of little run elements in, and just using as much variance as we can from the whole venue, really is where we're at.
Cool.
Yeah, I would echo that. I think the other thing as well is like Midlands it's just a favourite. Like we all know it's a favourite of participants, it's a favourite of staff. Like it's just a cool venue. Like there's different. It's probably not one of the hardest venues in terms of like difficulty level course route wise, but there are some hills. There's some other like kind of technical running. So we've kind of been quite careful to preserve like the DNA of what Midlands is as well. So there is a lot of thought that's gone behind, okay, well, we're not just reversing the course route, like Kerry said, like there's other things that go into that, but how do we still keep it feeling like Midlands as well? Yeah.
One of the things I'm going to look forward to, this is just mine, I've seen the map, is the run back to the village. Because normally we're coming down the really steep hills, you know, we come down to the bottom, we hit usually Mud Mile, and then we've got that little trek, and it's a gradual incline just up that little track and over the field. And I hate it. Every time I hate it. Love the running down a steep hill, hate going up the track. But this time, you know, looking at the map, and I don't want to give it away, but I'm only looking at what you've released at the minute. We're going to get a nice gradual decline all the way into the village, apart from probably when we hit something, an obstacle that. But I'm loving that. That's going to be the highlight of my day. You know, there's always, as an endurance run, there's always little wins that you're looking for, and that's going to be my little win this time. It's going to be Tough Mud has helped me out here because they're giving me a downhill run home.
Now, Alan, we both know that those pieces for that last part haven't been put in yet. We haven't seen those. I can see an evil glint in Kerry and Karen's eye that it's not going to be quite that easy. I honestly, because we know what the going out is. It's nice and flat, isn't it? So there's plenty of space to get a few more obstacles in there towards the end. Guys, it's the second year now, and we're going into third year next year. How has sign-ups been? Have you been happy? And I guess for us in the UK, more importantly, have the internationals still signed up? Because of course, as a big group of UK, we love going over to America to do it. Have we seen that love again coming back from over the pond?
Yeah, I think so. We've got a decent US contingent. We actually caught up with Emily earlier. We've got 27 countries now represented this year, which is really cool. I think some slightly, obviously, more than last year, but I think Japan is represented, New Zealand's represented. A couple of people from Oz are coming back over, which is really cool. Right? The fact that people are traveling to come to it is amazing. So yeah, really excited about that. It should be a great show of different nationalities on the start line, which would be amazing.
Just putting it out there, but if you did World Toughest Mudder in Oz, I would probably go to Australia. That would probably be my only chance to go to Australia. So just putting it out there.
If they do, they'll definitely need some support as well. I think from the UK business. So.
Yeah. I think we definitely have to go over, won't we, Kerry, and help. I think
you need to scout.
Someone's got to do it, right?
And we need at least like 5 site visits if that was to ever happen.
If you need a fourth opinion, I'm not offering for a friend. I'm asking for a friend.
Great. So there's a few rule changes which has gone down very, very well within the World's Toughest community. Of course, we'll start, I guess, with an easy one in terms of night ops. And again, there were just questions about headlamps and everything else. Of course, it gets dark very late and it gets light very, very, very early. So night ops very similar to last year.
Kind of. We've pushed the start time back an hour, so it'll be from 8 p.m. rather than 7 p.m. And then we've actually brought the finishing time forward only a little bit just to kind of coincide with sunrise. I think some of the questions have been around, but sometimes we have to have our head torches on while it's daylight. And I can fully appreciate that. But from a standardization point of view, we have to pick a time. And so that's kind of a time where if you're thinking about heading out or you're already out on course, then you should be prepared to have it ready. And it's just more from kind of, standardization, safety point of view to make sure everyone is covered when the time comes, that it does get dark, because leaving it up to individual interpretation just could cause kind of other headaches, really.
To be fair, when we've gone out, you know, and it's light and it's still kind of night ops, as it were. Normally, you just kind of take it off. You've got your head torch around your neck, and it's there. And I think mostly the MVPs know that actually you can see, and you still have your headlamp as part of night ops, but that's been okay.
Yeah, and I think it covers also then, like, depending on where you are in the venue, obviously, like if we happen to use a wooded area or something, like obviously it's going to be darker in there for longer, right? So you kind of have to cover off all of the different environments that you're covering on site as well. So yeah, kind of just a standardized rule to make it fair for everyone then, and safe for everyone, really.
Yeah, and we work off, rather than just, you know, dark light, we work off of the twilights. So yeah, you know, as we move into the first set of nautical twilight, we want to essentially, you know, it's that point where from a safety point of view, everyone's interpretation is different. And you may just randomly appear somewhere that's a bit darker if you, like Karen said, happen to find yourself in a woodland. So yeah, it's the rule to keep everyone standard and everyone safe. Yeah.
Okay, we had something quite specific, but I'll generalize it out first, and then I'll bring it back into a little bit more specific. But kind of a question about taking items out with you. What are the rules around that? And more specifically, I think there are what they're calling themselves the Mudder Knights, who want to go and help on an Everest, and they were talking about taking a rope, I guess, to help people up. So generally about taking items out, and then a bit more specific about that particular support.
Yeah, so I think, like, within the rules, if you want to carry something that has nutrition in it for you because you feel you need that going round, that's absolutely fine. You can't accept food from anyone else kind of on course, and you, like, certainly pit crew can't be out on course kind of helping there. So if you feel like you're going to need anything, then you can carry it. Obviously, it's on you to make sure that you keep that with you. Don't drop litter, but also if you're kind of have a backpack on, then that needs to stay on, other than for safety reasons, if at certain obstacles the staff deem that you have to take it off. But yeah, so it's just kind of being conscious of how you need to fuel your race, essentially. Yeah, on that aspect. And then I'll refer to Kerry for the obstacle specifics.
Yeah, so essentially all of our obstacles, right, we go through a very thorough assessment of all of our obstacles. And Alan, I'm sure you probably appreciate this in your setting as well. You know, you have to risk assess everything, and you have to create you know, guides for how they're supposed to be used, how it's intended use, things to support the volunteers so they understand what the use of that obstacle is, etc. And ultimately, what we can't have is people introducing new pieces into that risk assessed matrix, right? Because then that becomes, you know, it becomes a change in dynamic and a change in the assessment need. And what we would have to do then is every time somebody introduced something new, we'd have to go and reassess it and all of those sorts of things, right? So unfortunately, people can't bring pieces of equipment to help and support other people, because that wouldn't be a complete obstacle completion as our rules are. Also, you can use your arms and other body parts, if so inclined, to support people climbing up, like the likes of Everest and those sorts of things, if that were to be on course. But yeah, you can't introduce like mechanical pieces of equipment or anything else, unfortunately, because yeah, that it could potentially cause an issue. And if that were needed or deemed appropriate at that obstacle, we would have introduced it. For Everest specifically, just as we spoke about that, obviously that is in an endurance category, that is a penalty obstacle anyway. So there'd be no requirement necessarily to add an extra feature to make sure someone can complete it, because there is a penalty option. But yeah.
Oh no! What's the penalty for that, Kerry?
Well, I mean, if it's
on course, yeah.
I tried to catch you, Will.
If it was there, maybe we'd have one. Maybe we wouldn't.
That didn't work. Will,
Good try, Alan. Yeah, I like how you got that cheeky attempt in there.
Quite a subtle attempt as well. I'm impressed. Yeah, it was like.
Yeah.
I mean, Alan, if you remember Everest, it has been a penalty obstacle. I do think I've seen ropes on there before. Tough Mudder put ropes there before, and certainly the last time I did it, there were because this was Florida, there were the Everest Angels. They had pillows and things to support themselves, but they were actually using their own hands and their own bodies to get people up. So they weren't using ropes. But I'm sure I definitely on Tough Mudder courses there've been ropes there before. So possibly there's if we ask nice enough, they might put it there maybe for the later hours. But Alan, I guess as a penalty obstacle, you probably have to go do a few laps.
I was carrying I think last year I was carrying some mats. I think it was about 3 mats or 4 mats that we had to drag around a little course. And Will, as you know, I'm not the fastest guy, so I was carrying mats every time, which I'm dreading if Everest is there this year, and that's a penalty, especially in Morning Glory, and that one I've got to probably do it twice. That will be absolutely gutted. So ropes would be absolutely nice. I'll be forever grateful. I'll promote Tough Mudder every chance I possibly get. I am grovelling here, by the way, Will. Can you tell I'm grovelling here for the rope?
Not
no,
obvious
you
Alan.
I mean, when you do
terms of-
complete obstacles and you have to do the penalties, life does become a drag. So
Oh,
Oh, I like it.
Oh my God.
No, but I was saying, and will you completely carry someone taking a rope out there adds a whole new dynamic to health and safety. If someone's using that rope and they let go of it, accident happens, who's to blame? That person's not insured. So no, sorry guys, you can't take your own rope out. 100% with you on that, Kerry. No. Yeah. Please
even
put a rope out for us.
Even down to the things of the type of rope, it's those sorts of things that we have to consider when we put things onto obstacles, right? So yeah, it wouldn't work with people turning up with their own equipment essentially.
Alan asked about philosophy and kind of what you're trying to get out of the race, and already you've shown us with a bit of innovation, shall we say, by reversing the course. I don't think I've ever ran Midlands at all that way around. I think it's always been anti-clockwise. But you've introduced 2 new rules: Morning Glory and this weighted widget. Shitload of questions about it. I'm going to just let you talk about them first, and then we'll probably try and ask a few more questions, try and get a bit more out of you. But I guess let's start with the philosophy. In my mind, it's about reducing the mileage, and maybe you were scared last year that too many people were getting hundreds. Is that part of this, or is it just kind of something that Giles woke up in the middle of the night and thought, you know what, tell you what, everyone can do double obstacles?
Do you know, it's something that, like Giles and Matt had like an input into for sure. I think it's something we reassessed, and actually we have written a blog about this, so we can share that as well. But we've, ever since World's Toughest has been in the world's, like in Tough Mudder's ecosystem, we've always said that it's the toughest 24 hours on the planet. And actually kind of over the years, it's been really fucking tough. Like it's 24 hours, right? Of course it's tough.
Yeah.
But is it the toughest it can be? No. Like we kind of sat down and went, we could make this tougher actually. And sorry guys.
Because I'm not.
I don't like where this is going. I don't like where this is going, Will.
And how can we do it differently? Because obviously, it has always been a test bed for innovation of a certain kind, which leans towards the obstacles. But there is so much other innovation we can do. And so, we kind of sat down around a table in the office and brainstormed. And these were the things that came out of it. The extended finish time, because we also say that you've run like the toughest 24 hours, yet you could finish in 21, like kind of doesn't really add up. So we've pushed that. We're still not, you don't have to technically run 24, but you do have to run 23, or you have to be a active participant for 23 hours. So that, like, again, just pushing the boundaries a bit, and also like everything we throw at anyone that comes to World's Toughest, they always just absolutely smash it. So we're like, okay, well, here we go. Let's throw this at you and see how you do, because like we're sure that everyone's going to push through their limits. They always do at Tough Mudder at Worlds. That's what it's about. It's just that this year we're testing it in a very different way.
Yeah, I think I'd just add to that. I think when it comes to making things tougher and innovation, obstacles are always a thing we look at, right? Because that's what we are. We're an obstacle course race. But trying to stick within that confines of the format for Worlds, keeping it to a certain number of obstacles. There's only only a certain amount that you can apply to those obstacles to make it tougher every year on year. So I think playing with that, how you move around that course and those obstacles, it does make a big difference. It's not something that we've done obviously before. And I think 20 obstacles is tough over a 5-mile course over 24 hours, but 40 obstacles for a two-hour period, geez, that's some going, especially in your back end of that race. So most people with a good effort behind them can get over something like a hanging type obstacle. Do that twice in a row. All right, that's this is what's making it much more tougher this year. I think I'm really excited to see it happen.
I'm also really excited that my nighttime RD session finishes before Morning Glory, so I can run away.
Yeah, but we will get to go down the slide twice, though, won't we? That'll be the bonus.
Then you go to the play park or not, Alan?
Yeah, I've heard there's a really good one up at the castle, actually. Yeah.
Imagine having a slide all the way down from the top of the hill down to the event village. Weighted widgets.
Yeah.
More details.
Well, I think just really quickly, the interesting part of this actually is so we looked quite a bit into the data for numbers of laps completed, for the amount of people on course, etc. Over the last year or two. And something really interesting is there's going to be a lot of people that are, they're in this bracket of the weighted widget section whilst doing the Morning Glory is in place, which is going to add a whole other dynamic. So this is where the strategy is going to come in. People are either going to try and get that out of the park, or they're going to suck it up and suffer through. But yeah, I'll let Karen talk a little bit about the weighted widget.
One second, Karen. Have you got a little white cat on your lap that you're gently stroking like this and going? I'm sure I have, Will, honestly. He smiled then when he said Morning Glory, weighted widgets together. The data shows it.
I'm interested in seeing this data, work on site.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the weighted widget is so it's something that will be of some weight that you have to carry with you as you go around the course, to be revealed at the race briefing.
Do you get to keep it at the end of the race, or is it something you actually have to give back?
No, you have to give it back. Yeah, it's I also may or may not be an item you want to keep, right?
Right. Yeah, no, you know what I'm thinking again. I'm not running it, so I don't care what it is. I can't wait to see it. But I guess you guys were. I'm sure you guys were around for repeat offender. Do you remember that? And the little kettlebell, and I was like joking that wouldn't it be great if everyone got those little kettlebells to run around with when there was so much shit going on about how big is it, how heavy it is, and it's just this little like 50-gram kettlebell.
Yeah, I know. Kerry's looking for them because we have them as staff. I used to have 2 because I had them as like little staff awards.
Yeah,
I don't know where mine are either.
I was trying to find mine, but I've got it somewhere in cupboard somewhere. So it's an item. I mean, it may end up a bit like the rams we had last year, where we sell them at brunch because people were horrified about them and needed them to kind of help with their PTSD. But no, it's all will be revealed at the race briefing. So a weighted item of some weight and of some shape.
Yep, correct.
Yes, a pretty good description.
Can we bring us home?
Yeah. I mean, look, if you want to also bring your own weight, then feel free. But pop it in your
got a little one here. This I had to carry this for 75 miles the other week. So this is
a bit of wall.
It's a rock. It's actually a trophy, and I'm not going to show you that. It's got a logo on the other side, which was engraved, but we have to carry this for 75 miles. So I've actually got practice of carrying a weighted widget. So I'm cool with this idea. But, you know, I'm hoping, Kerry, that I'm going to be past, you know, morning glory. I say stroking my cat, as you do, by this time.
You will be. Yeah, you'll be all right.
Yeah. You totally got this. It's just, it'll be, I think that period of time is going to be a very interesting time on site, and being able to observe like it as well, and kind of but morning glory, I mean, that I almost feel like that's more of an evil brain, definitely more of an evil brainchild than Weighted Widget, like it.
You know what, I was talking to some guys at Scotland, and they was asking me my thoughts about Morning Glory, and I said, actually, for the front runners, probably won't make a difference. I don't think it's going to make a difference between first, second, third, or any kind of podium positions. I think the middle people and back people like myself, it will make quite a big difference. But I do think the sense of achievement of getting through that is going to be absolutely brilliant. I think the Weighted Widget, though, I'm assuming, and I'm not going to ask for any clarification. I'm assuming they're all the same thing. But Alan, how funny would it be if everyone had slightly different items that might be like an inflatable hammer, or it's a big sandbag, or it's, I don't know, a frisbee or something like that, and it would just completely random in terms of the Weighted Widget that you would get.
You put your hand in a thing and pull it out, and it'll say inflatable hammer, or you pull one out and it's like 20 kilogram sandbag.
Yeah.
See, I feel like
look, you got a sandbag. I can see Kerry there now. Sat there in his little throne with little white cat going, sandbag.
Do you know what? Actually, and then if they pull out the worst one that sets a siren off above the head, that would be fantastic. Innovation for 27 for sure.
Yeah. We're going to bank that idea. Yeah.
I think the right one.
Then, rather than us.
I'm not going to 2027 now. But
you're suddenly busy that weekend.
Washing the air that weekend. No, I am.
Maybe we'll chuck a little nugget in there, and if they get the right piece out of the puzzle, then it drops whoever's sat there observing into a plunge pool. Add a bit of
that would be quite fun.
Pizzazz to the selection process.
We actually did do something a little bit. I don't know if either of you did the virtual. We did, what was it called? Equinox Ultra. It was like a virtual regionals event during COVID. And one of the so it was a slightly different format. You had to run a loop and then come back, and you did like a thing that was like, and one of those was, it was something, but if you pulled out a certain thing, then the race directors had to do the activity instead. And I ended up doing like 4 in a row, and I was dying. I was just in my lounge, like absolutely dying. And everyone was loving it. They thought it was brilliant. Yeah. So I've learnt my lesson.
Maybe we'll do that. Yeah, there you go, Kerry. Something 2027. We'll bank that one too. There is a question about some of the rules, but I'll bring this one in first while we're talking about it. Was obstacle skip bands on Morning Glory lap. Will you need 2 bands to skip an obstacle? So let's say you've got to do Funky Monkeys twice. Is that 2 bands, or is that just the one?
So it's 1 band per attempt, essentially. Yeah. So if you want to skip it completely, you would have to hand 2 bands over. If you want to just do 1 attempt, then you have to hand in a band for the other attempt, if that makes sense. So yeah, it's definitely. Again, do you hold on to as many as possible for the rest of the time, so that when you go out on that lap, you have loads, so that you can skip certain obstacles? Or kind of how do you play with that band kind of system as well?
Interesting. Okay, let's look at the map, because there are certain pieces out there at this moment in time.
Before we do, one more thing on Weighted Widgets. Yeah.
Oh yes.
And Morning Glory. So this is more Morning Glory. will all the obstacles be open on Morning Glory, or will, with it being that late, will we start to see potentially some of them not open? I'm asking for a friend, not me, obviously. You know, this is asking for a friend. I'm not to do all obstacles.
I don't think we can like confirm nor deny whether they will be all open or some closed. But if they are closed, that doesn't mean that they won't reopen after Morning Glory has finished for the remainder of the time.
Oh, I like it.
I must say.
Also, can we just appreciate how funny it is to say Morning Glory so many times?
Oh, no.
It's
a joke in the morning. Everyone's going to say, "Oh, I've got Morning Glory today to come."
And I cannot wait for that time.
It's been a running joke for the last 6 months.
Yeah,
I'm
literally
sure.
every single time we write it or talk about it, we just giggle.
Let's talk about Morning Glory today, Karen.
Yeah.
little childish snigger. That's what it should always be. I must say, though, you guys have become more evil. I do remember the days when obstacles used to open and close, and then a few years, I don't know when this happened, but you just then opened everything and kept everything open. So that clearly is an evil part from that. So I think, Alan, that's a fair question, trying to get some of these obstacles closed.
Yeah, I was only asking for a friend, not for me, Will. You told me I was going to do everything twice if I get that far this year.
Absolutely, of course. So hopefully you guys can see the map whilst I'm presenting here. So we can clearly see it's going backwards. I'm assuming number 20, because you can just see the first bit of word is jolt. So I think we can all safely assume that's going to be EST or a version of EST. But Alan, I don't know whether you can see, but that number 18, it starts with grav. Yeah, you can see. I think that's probably something like gravity is a bitch. And so the question is there going to be a slide?
Oh, now, see, this is what we need to know, isn't it, Will? Because this is the only reason we're going. We're going just for the time that 1 year you are going to put a slide in just for me and Will. And
well, it's the time that I'm not doing it, so there better not be a slide this year. But Carrie, definitively, right now, is there going to be a slide?
Who knows? What I can see, though, is that some sneaky little so-and-so has already devised it. There's a lake somewhere there.
I can't believe you. Yeah, how have you cottoned on to that?
Some skillful observation.
Oh, has someone dug that recently? It's just appeared overnight. Never seen it in Midlands before.
Yeah, it's like, wow, Loch Ness Monster's kind of going to be in there. Harry, you talked about the data and the analytics from the past few years. I wonder whether you knew, if there was an obstacle that took the most bans, and in your opinion, which obstacle do you think's going to take that this year? Because I think, in my opinion, it's probably Devil's Beard, or that version of Devil's Beard, because it's such a time suck and you don't want to crawl. And so I'm assuming that's probably, at least if it's not the number one, it's probably very high up there.
Yeah, it's definitely high up there. Like any sort of crawling obstacles tend to be quite high on those, claimed bans. They do take a considerable amount of time for what you've got to do, right? Because you end up catching yourself and all those sorts of things, and they do just unnecessarily sap energy, right? Take you out of your cadence when you're running and your rhythm and all that sort of stuff. So we do tend to see things like that quite high up. And I think the next sort of highest ones that we tend to see are ones that are quite technical. So, for instance, last year, quite a high percentage was used on Netflix and chill, just with it being a bit more hard technical and needing to, really keep yourself upright. So you're controlling your whole body rather than just hanging from something. Things like that. And that was Cramp City as well. So people were trying to avoid that. That little piece there. I think that's what we tend to see, is those two kind of obstacles at the higher end. Sometimes at certain points of the night as well, people will try and avoid some of the water-based things, just to keep their body temperatures at a certain level and not dip out and stuff like that.
I think last year we actually had less bans handed in on water obstacles than we have had previously on some like ETMs, because the weather it was quite warm, so it wasn't that much of a drain on people to kind of get wet and then carry on running. I think in some instances it was actually quite nice, like people liked being cooled down a little bit. So yeah, like some of it is very weather dependent as well, how people use their bands. Sometimes, where I think last year as well, correct me if I'm wrong, Kerry, we did we did hero walls in, and then they had to go duck under something and then go back, and like anything where there's a change in momentum of like having to get up and down, they're quite often popular for bands as well.
Oh yeah, it was like a version of over under through, wasn't it? That type. That was the first obstacle as well. I remember that. Just talking about the weather and the heat last year. Again, long range forecast that I've seen, it's looking again quite nice, 25 to 30. Alan, how do you think that changes anything for you, if anything?
Well, I mentioned this before, but with the heat that's coming, it does change a lot in terms of your nutrition. Too many people don't hydrate early enough. They'll wait until they start to get thirsty. You've got to hydrate early. I liked it last year as you got the water obstacles open just at the right time. You know, I think it was like early evening, not going so much into the night. It cooled people down, but the heat takes a lot of you. And I think this year, as we know, it's reversed. Going up that hill, you know, in the heat, quite early in a race, it actually gives you a chance to get a drink in you. So anyone who's listening to this, get that drink, get that juice in you, get it in your little pouch in your pocket. Going up that hill, walk that hill and drink. Walk that hill and drink. It's got a much better chance of going a long distance. But yeah, it does, and I guess it changes your guys. If the heat's back again, it'll change your guys. One of the things I really liked last year, and I think it was about 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, electroshock therapy. I can't remember what you call it last year, but electroshock therapy, the last obstacle. You had a guy there with a water bowser, letting all water down. Please, can he be there for 3 hours if it's hot this time, rather than just one?
Do you know what the funniest thing is? If we ever ask anyone if they could, like, if it's a member of staff or volunteer, like, you have to stand by the IBC or the Bowser to wet people down. People love it. They will like nominate themselves to be that person 100% of the time. It's good.
Yeah, unsurprisingly, it's one of our instruction team's favourite tasks. Get the tractor around, fellas. We need to soak people. They'll even put down their brew for it as well.
Yeah, and they're from Yorkshire, so that's saying something. Yeah. I think it will. Yeah, definitely. Or the other thing to bear in mind is, this is not just a plug about the fact that it's my birthday on the Sunday. It is my birthday on the Sunday, but without fail, every single year that I can remember, it has rained on my birthday. So that just think of that for Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, I've been watching the long range forecasts with equal apprehension and excitement, and they've changed quite a lot in the last few days. We went through a period of it looking pretty drab and rainy, and then it looked like it was going to be quite stormy. We even had I won't say the word, but we had the L word forecast for a couple of days. That's disappeared now. And it looks like it does. It does look like it's clearing up, maybe a little bit overcast, which actually will probably be a bit of a savior for people, so they're not in direct sunlight, etc. But yeah, it looks set to be a nice weather. I think probably on the warmer side by the looks of things.
And that'll be 2 years running, and one of the reasons why I don't run it in the Midlands is because it always bloody rains on Karen's birthday. So it looks like when I actually do run next year, because I don't think I'll be allowed to defer again, it's probably going to be really horribly cold, just like Atlanta or something silly like that. So maybe I should actually just pull up my big boy pants and run this weekend in a couple of weekends time. Firefly, one of the big obstacles from last year. Everyone absolutely loved it. How much fire are we going to get this year? And is it going to be kind of something like a slide with fire, like fire of your fire in your hole? Yes, that was
I'm
it.
really getting a sense that maybe people want a slide.
Give the people what
I
they
thought
want.
giving me that
Karen.
idea,
What
but
they
Yeah, I
want.
don't know why
Yeah.
you're getting that idea, Karen.
no, it's just come to me that we should have thought about that. Yeah, again, I think we can neither confirm nor deny fire, but if there is, it may be used in a slightly different way.
Yeah, maybe.
Will.
Who knows?
Cage crawl, fire on the top. Loving it. You've heard it here first, listeners. Cage crawl, fire on the top.
You need to come into our meetings, Alan.
Don't grab the
You
cage,
don't.
that
You
could
don't
get-
want him in your meetings.
He
Not
could be
at
on the
all.
planning team.
No.
I can just envision people trying to crawl along and ow.
Yeah. Do you know what? There was one period of time where for probably about a minute we discussed making cage crawl electrified. But then we realised that A would be so brutal, but also it just wouldn't work.
Oh my gosh.
But how funny would that be to watch? Like,
Actually, the thing that foiled it mostly was the being able to isolate the electric just to the fencing
yeah,
and not be absorbed into the rest of the ground. And, yeah.
Because that's actually what happens, isn't it? Like electric eel, I'm sure you remember, Alan, you're going through electric eel, someone on the other side gets shocked, but you get shocked as well anyway, because it's just traveling through the water.
And it's one of the most, it is one of the most awful obstacles to do as a participant if you get shocked, but it is one of the funniest obstacles to watch when you are observing.
Yes, it is.
I could spend an entire weekend there and never get bored. It's so funny.
So you actually saying electric eel is coming back for your birthday? Is that what you're saying?
If that's my birthday present, I'm going to leave.
Oh, electric eel and fire though, Will. What about electric eel and fire?
Too much electric could cause a fire.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which we're hopefully not going to go down that route.
Just a side note, as you talk about electricity, that my very first Tough Mudder was at Tough Mudder Northwest, and I went with just one friend, but then met a group of friends, solo mudders. Did the course, absolutely loved it. Obviously, I loved it because I'm back again. But what we did do is go get a burger, and we sat watching electric shock therapy for at least 2 hours together, and just absolutely howling at everyone kind of tripping over, getting electric shock. You're right. It's kind of that slapstick comedy where it's just so funny. When it happens to someone else, it's so funny.
Yeah. When you I have also been stitched up so many times because you do have to test that it's working, right? Like when we do the obstacle sign-offs, we had to test it was working. But there's so I was there was an event, I think it was actually the last time we were in Finsbury Park, even though we don't mention Finsbury Park anymore, but they gave me a pole because I was the detangler, and it was a conducting pole, but they didn't tell me. So I was happily and there's just all of the staff were behind me. I'm so gullible. So I got the biggest shock, and everyone thought it was hilarious.
Fantastic video of this.
Yeah, and the trouble is when I am shocked or scared, I laugh as much as I laugh normally. So I kind of scream, then start laughing hysterically, and the participants didn't know what was happening. They just were, but yeah, so they've done that. I had to test when we had our first event back after COVID. I was the person who was testing electric eel, and it was
if you're a police officer and you want to carry a taser, you have to know what the taser does. A bit like that, if you're an RD or you want to have it on your course, you need to know what it does.
But I was getting in the pit, and they told me it hadn't turned on yet. So I was trying to get myself positioned in a way that, because I was stood, I wasn't even in, and they'd already turned it on. So yeah, when you're the person getting shot, it's equally funny, but it obviously hurts like hell. But yeah, when you're watching it. But I have been the brunt of a lot of electrical jokes and pranks.
Yeah, disclaimer, no Tough Mudder Spotted employees have been
Why have we never seen reels? Why have we never seen reels of this? This is like gold dust.
I think you need to give this You need to give it to Iris, because these behind the scenes type stuff, this would be amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe we'll see. We'll see if I can read. I'm sure it's there somewhere. Yeah.
Oh, I've got it.
But it's just the fact that in the video you can hear everyone giggling before it happens as well, because they know I have no idea what's about to happen, but if they do.
Kevin's back there again. I've got it.
But again, just to talk about electric eel, we found it funny when you see someone crawling through and you see that they don't know, but they've got a little trailing wire on their ass or something, and you know at any moment it's just going to go off, and it does, and they go ow, and then they headbutt the water again, and sometimes they get shocked again. It's so funny. So Karen, we need to see it.
They stay still and they've got one on them, and they just keep getting zapped.
Yeah.
It's things of dreams.
So just going back to world's toughest rudder race, because that's what we're here to talk about. Anything else you want to? Come on, there's got to be some form of exclusive hint or tip, or is there any particular surprise that you maybe want to preview whilst we've got you on?
I don't know. Is there anything, Kerry, that
I don't think. I think we'd be. So the whole of world is a really exciting topic and a really exciting thing for us all to do in the HQ team, and we've been very good at keeping it, relatively close knit whilst including the wider team and not leaking any information. So I think for us to leak too much now would be, not befitting of the rest of the team and the effort we've put in to not get any information out there in the sphere over the last sort of 11 months. But yeah, there's a lot of cool things coming. Some innovation, some things that we're excited to see, some things that we're excited to watch people do and attempt. But I don't think anything that we're probably gonna leak too far ahead. Keep an eye out on the Friday briefing.
Slide. I'm just suggesting.
Slide into the lake, maybe.
I'm going to buy you a little personal one. So if you go into your tent, you've got to slide in. Like one of those little kids, like.
But an idea for a penalty could be a slide into the lake, a little kiddie slide into the lake, just asking for a friend again.
Penalties aren't designed to be fun.
Which is a brilliant segue, Karen, about penalties. So come on, tell us a little bit more about penalties. I'm assuming some may be done at the obstacle, or some going to be kind of done at the end, a little bit like Toughest and Infinity, or is everything going to be out there on course?
So the penalties will be done at the obstacles, yeah. And it's more like logistical, but also easier to manage from a staffing point of view, and also from a racer's point of view, right? Because you fail an obstacle, you get it done, you carry on. So we've stuck with that format that's kind of well known for Worlds. So there'll all be, each individual penalty will be done at that obstacle that it relates to. Yeah.
Right.
You want more information, don't you? I don't want to give too much away. What I will say is that we've actually, and I think this might come onto a question later on, but like we have seen this year, we have got a slightly more crossover with some of the Spartan runners. We've got some people coming, and obviously they're very used to, if you fail an obstacle, you do a penalty loop, or if you fail spear throw, then it's burpees. We don't design penalties like that at TM. Like the point of them is that sometimes the point of them is that they are almost a little bit ridiculous, because we're trying to challenge you, but not just physically. Like sometimes the ridiculous ones are the ones where people get most frustrated and most tired, because it takes their brain power to think about it, or it's so monotonous that it's like it's almost more painful than doing like a physical thing. So we really play around with that, a bit like our obstacles as well, right? We have mental grit, like the kind of all the different categories. Penalties we've designed like that this year. We've also, one thing I will say is we have also tried to theme the penalties more to the obstacle. Ish, yeah. And that's a bit cryptic, but hopefully it will become clear when we can announce them.
If we've got the guns again, can I make a request that we don't put little sharks on the top of them, because that was so annoying. Them little sharks on the top
that
last
was
year.
so fun. That
so
came to my
good.
head. Well, freaking shark lasers.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Well, the funniest thing was as well, though, is that we thought we were hilarious, but we also, when we ordered the sharks, thought they were going to be bigger. We ordered them and they arrived and we were like, oh, this is a bit small. But then it actually worked to our benefit, because I think it was more annoying because they filled the gap better to block the view. But it was like, for us, it was funny on a lot of things. I can appreciate it was probably a bit frustrating if you couldn't see where you were pointing.
Frustrating, yes. Very frustrating.
The other thing to consider as well, obviously, with penalties is, morning glory. If you fail that obstacle twice, then you do that penalty twice. And yeah, like Karen said, they're not all physical. Some are more than others, but some are just plain straight up frustrating. And why am I doing this ridiculous task? Because you failed the obstacle, and sometimes you might have to do that twice, which is just adds to the fun. And there's something that I really enjoy about seeing really serious, dedicated athletes, right, doing something ridiculous as a penalty, because it just breaks that, like Karen said with the Spartan, right? It's very serious, and there's a penalty. We carry this, we go do that loop. Whereas we don't sort of play by those rules, right? So we like to bring everyone back down to a kind of level playing field a little bit, and that's a lot what these penalties do, more so than just sort of carrying a thing over a run or things like that.
Imagine, Alan, having to do 2 penalties, but having to do dizzy bat. So spinning round dizzy bat 40 times rather than 20 times.
Enough as it is, isn't it? Dizzy bat. I mean,
actually doing it and then having to do the obstacle in between.
Yeah.
You do dizzy bat, you try the obstacle again.
Oh,
it's all gone Pete
put
Tong.
that cat away, Kerry. Put the cat away for a minute. You're just so evil. I thought Giles was evil, but I know we're.
He's taught us well. He's taught us well. Yeah.
So harking back to past World's Toughest Mudders or even past Tough Mudders, if budget wasn't an issue, because we know there's a particular constraint in terms of putting on the obstacle race, but if budget was no problem, or kind of logistics, let's say, was no issue, what obstacle would you want to bring back and kind of chuck it in there in the Midlands course?
I know which one. It's kind of a weird obstacle for me to pick because it's very location specific, but I would love to bring the cliff.
Mm-hmm.
But like in all of its glory. So like actually have a cliff, a massive drop. Like it's just insane, right? Like I know Firefly and Walk the Plank are daunting to a lot of people, but the cliff is like 3 times that height. That would be pretty cool, I think.
Yeah,
I think. Karen, what about the castle wall? We dig an hole at the bottom and jump up the castle wall. That'd be like the cliff
into the moat.
Yeah, that would be. I mean, it would be super cool. Yeah, we just say to the Duchess, please, can we dig your moat a bit bigger, a bit deeper? Yeah.
Should be down. I think for me, it's not necessarily always budget constraint. It's also just location, right, and what you can do in each location. For me, heights is always a really good one. So like that sort of cliff, or something along those lines of a really high obstacle. You don't necessarily have to be jumping off of it, but that could be some sort of traverse at a really high altitude. What high altitude? At a height. We're not orbiting people, but at a height that really does just put people off. I'd love fear-based obstacles rather than in like physical feat obstacles. Some of them are big and some of them are hard to complete, but I think fear is a real leveler. You can train and be the best athlete in the world, but you can still succumb to fear. For me, those types of obstacles are really the ones that I love to see people overcoming as well. Getting past that, you can tell when someone gets that Matterhorn and they're a little bit worried about heights and they're shaking like anything. And that we have it quite a lot on our normal Tough Mudder events, and then someone climbs up with them, and you talk them through, and you get them over the peak, and they come down elated. That sort of thing for me is if we had the opportunity, that lots of fear things is what I would go for. Obviously I'd still chuck in some physically difficult things as well, because I wouldn't want to make it too easy.
No, of course not. I mean, I wasn't around for Vegas, so I missed the cliff. I did stacks. That was awful enough anyway, because I'm not a big fan of heights, nor am I a great swimmer. So that wasn't very helpful for me. Still got out and managed to do it. But I think for me, the obstacle that I would love for you to bring back, and I understand why logistically you can't do this, Coach's Corner. Coach's Corner was absolutely amazing. And Alan, I don't know whether you know, but basically it was DJ. It was a disco out at the farthest part of the course. So it almost was halfway, 2.5 miles out-ish, in the dark, middle of nowhere, and you just see some lights. You hear the music and the thump of the music. And whoever that volunteer was, and I know everyone was talking about that volunteer, because he was going and dancing and cheering for the whole 24 hours. And as a pick-me-up, you're 3 o'clock in the morning, it's darkest part, you just feel like shit. And then you hear this thumping music. For me, if you could ever bring anything like that to any course, that would be awesome. That would be absolutely awesome. And that isn't, that's not about strength. It's not about fear. But it was such a great pick-me-up.
It's a really interesting thing that, like, you have mentioned that, and it's not technically an obstacle, right? But it's an experience. And then when you asked us earlier what we're most looking forward to, we both didn't say an obstacle. We said something about the experience. It's quite an interesting, for an event that's known for its obstacles. It's interesting that something that is so experiential in that moment is what's remembered.
Mm-hmm.
But I can also imagine, like, you're tired, you're probably pissed off because we've gone rogue and done something on course that we were meant to do. And, sorry, the royal we, and then you just come across this thing that just lifts you up a little bit, a bit like your nice slow descent back into the village will be for you, if that's the case.
That's the case.
So just moving on, because obviously you're not going to be talking about penalties or slides anymore, but maybe we'll ask you again, don't know. There was a quick question, and this is again just about logistics while we're talking about logistics. So can pit crew check in after check-in closes? So maybe they've got someone working, let's say till 4 or 5 o'clock. Could they come and check in as pit crew later on, or does the competitor and all other pit crew have to check them in on their behalf?
Yeah, so they will be able to check in. You just need to head to the Mudder Services tent, the Info Mudder Services area. Look, we appreciate that some people will be tag teaming, that are pit responsibilities for a runner, or they might have other engagements and stuff. So the people will be able to come and check in from a pit crew point of view once the race has started. Just head over to Mudder Services and they'll be able to sort you out there. Don't try and pre-check in your pals if they're not going to be there, because everyone's got to sign their waivers and all those sorts of legal pieces. So obviously it has to be the person that does that. But we can definitely do that.
All right. Got loads of questions, but we're getting towards the end. We've got some humorous, some slightly funny off the wall ones. Not that we've had any fun so far in the podcast.
It's been deadly serious so far. I was expecting more laughs.
So, question: who will remain anonymous unless you don't want this person to be anonymous? And I can pass this name on, maybe to help with their penalties. But when will it be tough? Devil's Beers last year was so tame. So how much harder are you going to make it for us?
And this never came in from Owen Howden. So let's just get right. It never came in from him.
Well, I get, like, tough is a sliding scale, right? For everyone, and it's different to different people. And Devil's Beard last year maybe was tamer than some Devil's Beards that we've done, but then we changed some other things up, right? So when will it be tough? I mean, let's have a chat, Owen, when it gets to 9 a.m. on the Sunday and see how life is treating you.
I've got this question. I have no idea who it is or who asked it, but can we have special bibs for people that podiumed last year?
Well, that's that. Well, I'd be surprised if anyone asked that.
No idea.
Podium and no,
Alan, this came anonymous. So, did you podium last year? Did you age group podium?
I think I did, didn't I? A bib would be nice, wouldn't it? A special bib to run in, yeah. I didn't ask it, honestly. God swear on earth, I didn't ask it, not me.
So just to, as a race director that deals with a lot of stuff for their event, including all of the logistics and those sorts of things, I'm sure they'll probably appreciate, trying to fulfill requests of this ilk 2 weeks before an event. It probably isn't really going to come to fruition. But what we could do, the merchandise team they are able to personalize your bibs and stuff. Once you've checked in, you can add a badge on, those sorts of things if you wanted to, whoever that may be. If they happen to, propose on the stage, if they propose they want to wear something, on their bib, that would probably be a good way of getting around it.
That's actually a really good idea, Alan. You could, because you get we're checking in on Friday. You'll get the bib. Yeah. We can print something special on your bib, like I don't know, a crown or a trophy or something.
Yeah, I think rather than just have Muddy Duck, which normally goes on there, I think we should have something different on there, shouldn't we? Like last year I came second.
Yeah.
Not that I want to tell
and then you could have it like second, so it's like overall, and then in small letters be like of this age group.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, in like real time small print.
Yeah,
in like font size 3.
Well, Alan, I don't know whether you've not run with Becky yet, have you? Because so Becky and I and some of the Who's Hot team, we normally are fortunate that Tough Mudder will gift us a few tickets for Tough Mudder, so we can just go with other podcast members and do the run. Becky does have a special champions bib, and she always wears it. So if you ever did the Tougher Mudder and you came first or third, you would have had a special bib.
Oh, see, now I'm feeling upset now. Well,
the other thing you can do, Alan, is just go all guns blazing for the first lap, and then you can win the sprint leader lap bib, and you can wear that with pride.
I've seen how those guys actually run that first lap. I bet I couldn't keep up with them for the first 50 meters. You mind 5 miles. I tried running with them at a race recently to film them. I gave up after 10 yards. I took 10 steps. Oh, yeah, go on. I used the zoom on the camera to follow them. So it made it look like I was following them. I wasn't. I was still. There's none of that chasing them front runners down. Do I get a start? Can I have an hour start? I might just about beat them then.
You have this special bib if you want. Oh
yeah. See, more got special bibs, and there's me here, second in my age group last year, proposed to the wife on stage. I'm going to get a little violin out and just play my little violin a little bit more and see what happens. Crowdfunding, I'm starting crowdfunding tonight. That's it. I'm getting my own bib.
We'll see what we can do for you. Well, I know who the supplier is on the bibs. Maybe we can get you a special one. Moving on. Obviously, we've talked a lot about Giles and what he did last year. But another anonymous question has come in. Will Giles have a leash on him that keeps him in the event village and stops him going out on course in the middle of the night and putting up new obstacles?
We can't control Giles. It's just, and no one would want us to, because that's just Giles, right? And whether he's at an event in real life or he's remote somewhere, he can make things happen that no one is necessarily aware of until they start happening. and that includes us.
Some of us want to leash on him. Maybe
that could be one of the obstacles. If you can successfully do that. Yeah, you automatically come first. Doesn't matter.
Giles Wrangler.
Do you know what would be really good? The weighted widget would blow up Giles. to carry around. How good would that be?
I thought he was about
That
to say
would be
just
quite
to
fun.
carry Giles around. I thought that's where you was going at first.
Back to that, if budget was no issue,
Yeah.
we would have a blow up Giles for every participant.
But I think like we give Giles a lot of stick for this as well, don't we? Like as an ops team, like we do. But ultimately, his brain works. I mean, and I know you have mentioned that we quite like to be evil. We do. He has taught us well. We've picked up a lot of tricks of the trade, but his brain is constantly, how do we make this experience something else, like more elevated, the next level? And he just has his own very special ways of doing that, which in hindsight, when you look at it, you're like, yeah, actually, like that was great, or not necessarily great for the participants who are annoyed, but then when you look at it, you're like, no, that it challenged us at a point where we needed, like, or you didn't know you needed an extra challenge, but yeah, he's just very good at picking up on those like intricacies.
Yeah. And look, people still talk about it, right? So
yeah,
as much as we, you know, we as a team sometimes go, oof, we get swung to the side as well, right? When Giles comes in with a great idea in the moment, but people still talk about these things, and I think that's what makes, you know, part of the world's toughest, especially because it's that one. You remember 2025? Oh yeah, when Giles went out and stuck a load of course marking in. So I mean, it's those sort of things, right, that come back when you talk about these events. And it's not just an excuse because we can't wrangle him even if we wanted to, but it's what makes part of the experience, right? So yeah, unfortunately he will be leash free for everyone.
Let's just get this right though, it wasn't just course markings, Kerry. It was the TMs, it was Killer Gorilla. It was on a hill, so we had to go up it 6 times.
Semantics, right? It's course marking up the hill.
Yeah.
Down again.
We should probably also point out that we have specifically stated in the rules this year that no obstacle route distance counts towards the final distance. It's only the course route itself as well. So we have already covered off any rogueness.
To be fair, that has always been the case, though, because again, in the past, the penalty used to be loops, and I remember doing, I think, a 7-mile loop, something like that, because I've failed quite a lot, and it's still heartbreakingly just a 5 mile as a count. So I get that, but I think Alan, you know, as much as we have this fun, I think Kerry's absolutely nailed it, and Karen, in terms of, we always remember everything. You talk about Giles, you know, I've talked about 2018. We talk about how cold it was, how hot it was, you know, particular obstacles, whether the slides or not. But you remember it. You remember that experience, and you're not really going to remember it, or especially not with fonder memories when it's just a run in the park.
No, you're not. And for me, and this is a prime opportunity this year, Giles goes out, puts TM out there, you know, on the old Killer Gorilla. But you know, the last letter of the M, it comes down, doesn't it, before you get back on the course? That could be, you know, a great place for a slide, couldn't it? You know what I mean? I'm only asking for a friend here, you know, could Giles, get markings and maybe some a slide, a blow-up slide? If not, I know we can hire one for the day. And maybe we fetch his own, Will. Isn't it? No, honestly, will there be a slide this year? Simple question, will there be a slide?
Sorry,
and everything goes quiet.
Well, I see, again, if I'm just looking at the map, but probably what looks like number 8 or 9, something in it ends ET fly. It might be something like let it fly. And if you remember, so many slides have that bit of kick at the end. So I reckon there's a slide into that lake and it just kicks you, which makes you fly. What do you reckon?
I'm enjoying all of these theories.
Yeah.
Also,
fun
things around Worlds. Right? It's one of the best things about the whole like puzzle piece bit of Worlds for us is like sitting back and watching all of these sort of theories come up, right? And like everyone's thinking, and on the socials and everything, like, oh, this could be that, and like that engagement amongst the community, we love it. It's great coming out with all these theories.
Actually, just looking.
The other thing as well that is fun for us, right, is unlike any other event, we released this map, but it's still cryptic. We do it in a cryptic way, but we also rename all of the obstacles.
Yeah.
So like and that like we sit there thinking we're really funny and we've come up with like great ideas. But so actually when the community do get so involved and they love hunting them out, and we, like Kerry said, we get them kind of to see all of the theories and the chat about, oh, what could this be, what's this. It's like, it is really fun to like be part of that,
because we see number 11 just about, you can see Greedy Nincompoop, Roald Dahl, and Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. It's going to be Augustus Gloop, so I like that, and I remember it's always been cryptic. Now, you guys, I don't think any of TMHQ are from the Midlands, but I do have a theory about what looks like 1, 2, 3, number 4. It's something Cobb Divide. Now, Alan, I don't know whether you're probably a bit too far north of the Midlands, but a cob is a bread roll.
Yeah, we call them bread cakes.
Yeah. We in Nottingham, where I'm from, in Newark, Grantham, we call them a cob. It's a cob bread roll, whatever you want to call it, but it's a cob. And I'm just wondering whether there's some form of sandwich divide type something. It's right at the top, but I don't know whether we're being a bit too clever, because again, I don't think any of TMHQ are from the Midlands, so they probably have put that word in not knowing what that actually means in the Midlands.
Doesn't cob also mean a horse as well?
Could do, but also,
and you ride a horse. So really, on a slide you ride, so you could be riding down a slide.
Nice, because you're at the top of the hill, aren't you? You're going back down again. But also, again, I don't know whether this is local or whether people call this, but when you have a cob on, which means you're really annoyed or you're really frustrated, really sad. Have you guys heard of
I've
that?
heard of that.
Yeah.
Oh,
all right.
So, there. So, I'm just putting it out there for the community, but there's I can't wait to see those couple of pieces, because of course, again, as Karen said, it's just then working out cryptically what they mean. Greedy Nincompoop, I think we all get that, but that's good fun. But yeah, cob, sandwich,
cob,
rolls.
There's great debate amongst the team on what a roll is called. Some people tea cake.
Because a tea cake, if you buy one of our team members a tea cake and it's not the right form of tea cake, you're in trouble.
They must be from Barnsley then, because it's only in Barnsley is a tea cake something without currants. If you leave literally Barnsley 5 miles in any direction, a tea cake has currants in. So which one of your crew comes from Barnsley? Because you must know them.
I think they're actually forget the exact location, but it's not too far from our Yorkshire venue actually. That particular crew member.
It's Balm is, I think, Manchester way. Bread cake, tea cake, cob. Anyway, I'm just putting that out there. Okay, we're into the final few questions, guys, and again, thank you for taking your time with us. I'm going to start with this one, because there was a lot of the UK runners. They were doing the European Ultras last year, and of course, we've had Grant Thompson that's kind of been leading the UK. The UK division and trying to take on the top guys, and Michael, can't remember his second name, for the guy from Denmark as well, kind of helping lead the European charge. But how do you think that now the UK team are going to take on, and do you think we're going to finally break this hold of the Americans that they've had for so long?
I think there's a good chance for sure. One of the interesting things, it's not necessarily in the individual race, but in the teams race, which I kind of alluded to earlier. So our current national series winner in the UK for Spartan at the moment, based on the last events, is Roman Tooth. And he is racing with 2 elite racers in the teams category, which will be really interesting, and I think could throw a few cats amongst the pigeons there. It's not something we see very often, elite racers running as a team, so that could be really cool to watch and like see how they get on. Also, again, how they will take the penalties, assuming if they have to do penalties, they're obviously very skilled athletes. yeah, so I don't know whether that will play on their mind more than like someone who is used to a world's toughest or a Tough Mudder endurance format. So yeah, that could be really interesting. I think Sean, the last I heard, is coming to Worlds. So hopefully that, like, again, if he's fighting fit, that could definitely be interesting.
Sean Merriweather.
Yes, yeah.
He's not fighting fit. He recently did the spine, and he sort of pulled out after checkpoint 1. So I know for a fact he's not right on his game at this moment in time.
Oh, but do you think he's pulled out because he's like pulling out to not injure himself further to do World's Toughest Mudder?
Could be, Will. Could be.
Add some conspiracy in there, Will.
Yeah. Sean's got the ability to do it.
Absolutely.
He's 16 hours for 100 miles. I think he did it. 16 or 17 hours for 100 miles. He did not last year. So definitely Sean's got the ability to run it without a doubt.
He used to be a very regular face as well, right? A lot of the Tough Mudder endurance stuff. So, yeah.
Yeah. We have got, I think we were chatting earlier, Kerry, 1st and 3rd place males from last year are coming back, and also top 3 females are coming back.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, it should hopefully be a really interesting race, kind of for those podiums. But the teams, I'm excited to see how they get on.
Yeah, and I think I do think that as much as you mentioned earlier, Will, that the things like Morning Glory and stuff, for the elite runners and those really super high milers, it's not going to have too much of a huge impact. But I do think that their strategy is going to come into play with those things, because they need to think about bands more, what's going to take their time. Like, I do think there is potential for there to be some wiggle room in that higher end of the table, depending on what strategy, and how the weather affects them and all this kind of thing. So yeah, it's going to be a really interesting race from that point of view this year, I think.
And also, I think when you're at that level and you're a competitive sports person, right, you like to know what you're doing. This is a multi-lap format event. Some obstacles may or may not be open at certain times, but other than that, it's fairly consistent. And then we've come along and thrown 3 inconsistencies in. 1, you've got to carry something for a lap. 2, you may have to, you're going to have to do obstacles twice and or penalties twice, depending on how you get on. And then 3, you also can't finish at 9 a.m. when you think you have a big enough lead. You have to finish at 11. So it's basically like 3 mind games. We're playing on everyone.
Yeah. But
I think actually in some ways that might affect some of the front runners more, because they're so used to being like, I know the format, I've got this, this is my training plan, this is what I'm doing. It could kind of not derail them, but like Kerry said, you have to think about your strategy very differently.
It's interesting. I saw Nikki, who was the winner of World's Toughest Mudder last year. She was at Henley, where I saw her. She was at Scotland, but I totally missed her at Scotland. But she's putting in some fantastic mileage. Grant is putting in some mileage. Das is doing World's Toughest Mudder for the first time. He's a great endurance runner. Not really won Europe's Toughest Mudder, but this is his first World's Toughest Mudder. So there's definitely a strong contingent, especially between Grant and Das, to help lead that UK charge. Alan, and anyone else that you kind of want to mention?
There's a lot of quality runners. We can't rule Sean out. Grant's gonna be up there. Whatever we talk about, Grant's running really well. And if you look at Scotland, he beat Dassels in Scotland. To me, that was a bit of a shock. I wasn't expecting that.
That's the dude Infinity. He did spot and a trifecta in a day.
Oh, did he? I thought I got him down as an Infinity because he was ranked on the Infinity table.
He might have only done a couple of laps, but he definitely was more sparse.
Using it as a warm-up.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, then that's the reason why then. But I mean, if we look at last year at Yorkshire, I mean, Das went out and he smashed the first lap, the actual, the 15k lap, because we had it as the UKOCR series race. He smashed that, and then he went on to smash the Infinity. He was right up there. So Das has got it in. He's been all over the country. When I look at everyone else, I guess I'm a little bit more interested in some of the adaptive athletes. How far can Jamie Gain go? You know, we've got Dawn Jolly's running with her partner. How far can she go? I mean, if my knowledge tells me right, we've got 11 adaptive athletes taking part this year. 7 of them being competitive. A full category of females with upper limb problems, 2 lower limb males, and 2 visually impaired. You know, I'm interested to see how these guys, because these are legends instead of the elites. These are legends in their own little right. You know, and to see these people on the course, that's inspirational. We're talking about little wins. I'm going to say I hope that at some point I'm running with these guys, because that's going to give me that little win to drive on a little bit more, especially in the early hours of the morning. But as far as the elite athletes, I think James Burton's going. And I know James has been there and done it before. So, you know, don't rule him out. You know, I mean, he's going to be there and thereabouts. He knows he's got the game plan for it. James has got the game plan.
I think Dave Peters is running again too.
Dave Peters is always up there, but, you know, I mean, can he get that 100-mile mark? You know, he's not. I'd like to see Gavin Hogarth run at this moment in time, if I was honest, Ian. I think Gavin Hogarth has come on leaps and bounds. You know, and if you listen to Gavin, ring up Tough Mudder, get a ticket, because, you know, you can go out and do well here. Come down, run with Grant. Good to see 2 Scottish people run, especially with the World Cup being on, because you're not going to go far in the World Cup.
Whoa.
Scotland.
A couple of group as we speak.
I'm saying that, and I'm actually staying in the Scottish pit. I'm going to be lynched now, aren't I? No, honestly, I'm pleased that this year we're going to see some British athletes challenge the people from across the pond, because, and whoever challenges, and I'm going to say there's going to be people we couldn't mention, we're not going to mention, because we don't know everyone who's going. It's going to be good to see them, because they've had a little bit of rest from the Euros. The top UK athletes have had a little rest. They've had 2 or 3 weeks now. They're going to come in here. They're going to be fresh as a daisy. And I don't know if Morgan Maxwell's running, but Morgan's running absolutely fantastic at the moment. I think he was second to Roman at Spartan last week, and I think he was only seconds behind. And I think that's the closest they've been. You know, Roman comes over here and he usually smashes it by minutes, not seconds. So Morgan's absolutely flying. Andy's living in Yorkshire at this moment in time, so he's actually training on hills, so it'll play into his hands. Yeah, I'm just excited to see it. I'm excited to see people on the course.
Do you know, I kind of part of me as well, because I think Worlds is very unique in that the prize money is up for grabs from it. You don't have to be in a contender or elite contender category, right? You could be in the open category and just be someone that's under the radar, signed up, and comes and absolutely smashes it. And I think from a story point of view, that would be incredible. Imagine if, like, you've just come along, you're an athlete but unknown, and you just come and absolutely smash it, kind of having entered the open category. I think that would definitely make it very interesting.
And OCR has got some of them people, you know, I go back over the last 10 years, and we've had people coming from fell running that have just appeared from nowhere. And Russell Walsh, an example, you know, he came from cross country running, went into OCR, is now, you know, top 3, top 4 every race he rocks up to. And I can't remember the guy that was part of Obstacle Racing magazine. He had a double-barreled surname, I think, and he came from fell running, and he appeared from nowhere, and he was absolutely smashing the course.
I thought you were thinking Carl Bell, but that's not double-barreled.
No, Carl Bell is the Total Warrior guy, Will, who just does Total Warrior and no others. Another good runner. But yeah, there's been that many. It'd be great to have that story, wouldn't it, Karen? That nobody doesn't even go in contender status or elite contender, just comes from normal open category and goes out and mixes it. Even if he didn't win it, just mixed it with a podium. That would be absolutely amazing.
Just imagine. Last couple of questions, Karen Carey. What's your most inspirational moment that you've had at World's Toughest Mudder?
It's so hard to pick one. I think for me, it's like any endurance event, like Worlds, Europe's Toughest used to get it as well. But like when people come over the finish line and they've just given it everything, and you can see how much it means to them in that moment and beyond that moment, and how hard they've worked to like finish and get there and achieve their goals. I think that always gets me. If people start crying at the finish line, I'm a blubbering wreck in the corner. Like, honestly, I'm not even that, I'm not a super emotional person otherwise, except when I'm overly tired. But like anytime anyone comes across the line and they've got tears in their eyes because they're so proud of what they've done, they just absolutely gets me every single time.
Yeah, I think for me that's a really like a poignant part of it, is watching people achieve what they've like trained so hard and dedicated time to achieve. You know, put yourself, Alan, going with a target of 75, right? When you cross that line, it's not just happened. It's not an accident that you got to that point. Like it's in a combination of everything you've put in. So it's not just the event, but it's the dedication that person's had to getting themselves to that point. And then the elation of seeing them get to that point, you know, on the event and crossing that line, hitting that target. And a lot of the time, you know, enjoying that with friends and family that have come to pit, and, you know, or friends within the community that they've run with. And when you see a big group coming together, they've linked up for their last lap, those sorts of things, right? It just brings home like the community sense of Tough Mudder. And yeah, I think that for me is probably the biggest thing.
Yeah, I think like slightly on the flip side as well is when we're very British, right? So we as a team, we don't big ourselves up very often. But turning around and like, I know, seeing your team members get slightly emotional because we actually delivered it and people actually achieved it, and the event went smoothly, especially when it is an endurance event like that. It's 24 hours. Sometimes, like, there's been times where like we'll turn around and you just give someone a hug and then you burst into tears because you're kind of proud of what you've helped people achieve, not necessarily proud of putting the event on, but we've put something in place for them to achieve their goals. And so that is also quite inspirational as well, when at the end you can kind of just give your colleagues a pat on the back and for a job well done in their respective areas. Yeah.
So that does lead me nicely on to the last question. June the 30th, Tuesday morning, you're doing the team debrief between you all. What would success look like to you both?
Being awake. Being awake and alert enough to have a conversation. No, I think I don't know, it's so hard to put, like I said, like even after last year we had a debrief call, didn't we, Kerry? And everyone was like, yeah, I think it went okay. And Matt was like, no guys, you did a great job, like it was brilliant. And we're like, yeah, like it was good, like we were really proud of it. But you know, it's just that very British thing of you can pick up on the tiny minute details that no one even knows has like not necessarily gone 100% to plan, or it doesn't matter, and but that'll be the one thing that you hold on to versus like this amazing event that you delivered. It's just a very kind of
as a team we're hypercritical, right? So like you say, things go wrong, and some people might not notice that because we're a bit like a duck, you know. It's all nice and floating above and everything else is underneath is making it happen. But it's those things that make it happen that kind of lead on a bit, you know, or from that previous question about inspirational moments, is when you kind of, you know, for me personally, it was a cool moment last year to direct Worlds, having, you know, started in the team as a crew member, coming from a different background and working through all of the roles within sort of Tough Mudder Spartan and that sort of event space, you know, to then sort of be leading a team delivering such a world sort of, you know, iconic event. It's one of those poignant moments, right? And for me to measure that success is we delivered it, but then I'm really critical of what we've done wrong, because we always want to do better and we always want to improve on those things. And you should see the list of things that we come up with post event that's like, right, next year and they could be very minor things that say, I don't know, we needed a sign with an arrow this way, or do you know what I mean? And it comes from large to small, but event to me, ultimately success is measured on site, and success is measured in the stories and the, you know, the feedback that you get from participants and customers. And brunch is a really great place. I think you get a really good feel for that. people come back in and they're all spinning their war stories from the weekend and exchanging, their thoughts from 2 a.m. and these sorts of things and celebrating each other. I think it's the vibe that gives me success rather than a data and a metric, and the feel that you get from the people that have done it and have been there. So it's really hard to give a definitive answer on what measures success, but ultimately, if we've delivered a good event that people have enjoyed, that to me is success, which we will, of course.
Of course.
Only if you provide a slide.
I knew that was coming. I knew that was coming.
We've got to keep you wanting something, haven't we?
Yeah.
And with that, Alan, before we close, do you have any final questions apart from a slide? Because I was going to ask that, but do you have any final thoughts or questions for the team? Whilst we've got them here and we've got them nailed down and answering all of our questions quite straight without kind of dodging anything like a politician, any particular questions that you want to ask them?
I haven't. No, I'm just going to say, guys, good luck. I know you're going to put on a great event. I can't wait for it. It's the race of my year. It's the one I've been looking forward to the most. If I'm injured, I'm still coming. I'll just do a couple of laps, whatever. But whatever doubt, I'm coming because it is the experience.
Mm-hmm.
And I've said this more than once. If you haven't been to a world's toughest mudder or even a Europe's toughest mudder and experienced the whole experience, everything that goes off, then you haven't really been to a tough mudder. You've got to go to one to appreciate what it's all about. So good luck, guys. I know you're going to smash it.
But by the way, Karen, Kerry, I don't know whether you know, but Alan used to hate Tough Mudder. He was not. He really was not Tough Mudder.
I hate it.
But now you're a season pass holder. You've got this big ass bloody tattoo. You're like the biggest tonk that I know.
Yeah.
I'm saying something.
Yeah, I never hated it. I was never a fan of it in terms of. I liked some of the options, and we're going back 10 years now. I'll tell the story. I don't mind telling the story. We're going back 10 years. I found Tough Mudder. I did one. I thought it was a gimmick. It wasn't what I wanted. At the time, I wanted to be challenged by lots of obstacles, not 20 or 30 over a fight. So I was like, no, it's not for me. I'll stay away. And I stayed away for a long time. I think I did about 5. And then Ian convinced me to do ETM in 22, I want to say, 21, 22, something like that. And I was like, oh, I don't really want to. Whole different experience to every Tough Mudder I've ever done. And now I've done several a year and world's toughest, everything else. So I am a honk now. I would say I'm a fan of Tough Mudder. It changed my life, the experience, and I appreciate it now when I've done infinities and I've done normal Tough Mudders, what goes on behind it. And it can't just be big obstacle after big obstacle after big obstacle. It's sometimes you've got to have other challenges in there, mental challenges, physical challenges, changing up cadence and things like that. So you're just not always completely running. I know a little bit more about it since I became a race director as well. So, I do appreciate much more than I ever did. So whatever Will says I hated Tough Mudder, I didn't hate it. I didn't appreciate it as much I do now.
Well, we're glad to have you on board now.
Yeah.
Please don't revoke my season pass and please give me a slide.
Karen, Kerry, before we just go to the finish now, any final thoughts from your side? Any final giveaways that you might want to give us?
No giveaways, I don't think. I think we're just pumped to get on site and to see you kind of taking part and to see the new innovations come to life. Because I guess depending on how these ones go, like we've completely opened the door for any other things we want to try kind of going forward. So just kind of looking forward to it and can't wait to see everyone on site.
But for us it's a culmination of many months of planning, something that we all look forward to. So I just hope people can come down and enjoy it. We'll be there. The team will all be there on site for as long as we need to be to deliver this fantastic event. So I'm just looking forward to getting on site, getting everyone there and rocking and rolling and getting those vibes.
Listeners, we are all Absolutely pumped for World Surface Moto coming in a week and a bit. I will be on site from Friday with my trusty mobile phone and gimbal. I'll be out there getting lots of interviews. So if you want to come and speak to me, please do. I'll be out there Friday. I'll be out there on course Saturday, Sunday. I will also be at brunch. So please, when you have some time, please come and speak to me. For everybody else, you can also follow along with the OCR report. They will be doing a live YouTube video through the whole of the entirety of World Surface Moto. So I think in total, they're probably going to be doing 26 hours of concurrent filming through the course, interviews and everything else. So please do give them a follow. Lots of live stuff will be coming from me through UKOCR. Alan, over to you for the finish.
Listeners, thank you very much for listening. Now you take care, you stay safe, you keep on running, and we will see you all at WTM. Good luck, everyone. Thank you.